Okay, now here we have the dug fir. This one's already been hand scraped, then run through the planer. We've got soft wood. Produces real fine shavings. That's angel hair actually right there. That's nice. Very nice stuff. Okay, let's talk a minute about what angle do I hold it at. Well, if you take it at a 90, drop down to about a 45. You have a little bit of flex on the back, push it forward. If it doesn't cut, typically I find that bringing it back up towards the 90 just a little bit is where it gets it. I don't really put a protractor on it. I just call it the working angle. And you'll find that working angle by just starting to push and then adjust it slightly up or down until it starts cutting. Once you do it enough, it'll be fairly intuitive. You'll know exactly where you're at. So this is nice. I can push it or pull it, either one. Now if I pull it, you'll notice I place my fingers in the center and I'm putting pressure back here. That would be the opposite of putting my thumbs here. That's nice. Now this wood doesn't seem to generate as much heat. Look at those shavings. That's nice shavings right there. And only did it with a file. Now one thing I do find important, as you're stroking it on the file, it's going to build up file shavings. I find it important to keep those cleaned up. You'll feel them roll under the cabinet scraper as they build up. So I can feel the file grabbing on my cabinet scraper. I know I'm getting a good sharpening on it. Okay, it's good to go again. All right, and there you go. That's how to use the file to sharpen a cabinet scraper. Very simple, very effective. But remember, it's part of an overall workflow. I finish with a random orbital sander, and then I can apply my finish. I never go from the cabinet scraper straight to my finish. Okay, I want to touch real quick on a couple other card scrapers that are definitely harder to sharpen. One of them looks like a French curve, and the other one looks like a standard scraper, except it has a concave and a convex end. Now for the outside corners, the outside of the curve, that's easy to sharpen. I still do the same thing. I simply hold it at a 90 to the file, and as I draw it across, I roll it. And I can hear and I can feel and even grab from the file, I know I'm sharpening it. And I'll flip it side for side as well. Okay, we're getting some nice shavings there. Now one thing you have to remember is this is a flat surface and this is curved, so I don't have full contact with the wood. But if I'm cleaning up one of my cove moldings, then I'll twist that and get it to where it completely fills the curve of the molding. Also, same thing with this one, is I'll simply place it on the file, hold it at a 90, and roll it as I draw it across the file. And I can feel it and I can hear it. Now, this one I actually use quite a bit on large moldings. But if I need to sharpen this in here, what I typically like to do is use a file or a dowel just wrapped in some wet, dry sandpaper. And then basically, I will stroke that at a 90 to the card, and then I can use the card scraper. Now, I use my card scrapers to shape wood, but I really don't use it, as you recall. I don't use the card scraper and then go straight to my finish. I'll use the card scraper to clean up mill lines or marks, and then I go to sandpaper that conforms to the surface, whether it be flat or curved, and then I finish out. I can go to my finish. So keep in mind the context in which I use the card scrapers. Now another question a lot of people have for me is, are the thick card scrapers better or the thin ones? Well, I have one thin one, and it's about a 64th of an inch thick, and most of them are about a 32nd of an inch thick. They're twice as thick as the other. I find that the thicker ones work better, and I have expensive ones. I have Sandviks. I also have Stanleys, and actually neither one seems to work better. The one thing I like about the biggest ones is that they're easier to hold, certainly. My Stanleys, they're a little bit cheaper, and they're small. And actually, these have been used quite a bit, and I file these down pretty fast. But these are disposable tools. These aren't fine Japanese chisels. So I'm not afraid to use them, whether I'm reclaiming some wood or I'm doing some fine work. It really doesn't matter. I can pull any one of these out, and I have no preference. That's nice. Now, I'll be the first to admit that my sharpening method doesn't put the finest edge on a card scraper that you can get. But the intent was to share with you a very simple method that gives you a great edge that's very usable. I think that this will open the world of card scrapers to a lot of individuals that have had difficulty sharpening. Now, I would also submit to you that once you learn the mechanics of the card scraper, that you can go to the next level and you can learn how to burnish it and get that finest hook and to get the finest shavings. But we'll also tell you that this very method is the same method I've used on all my projects in my portfolio. I've done it on inlay, I've done it on veneer, and it works perfect every time. But keep in mind, I still finish out with my random orbital sander before I go to my finish. So really, keep in mind there's always more than one way to do something, but the only real way to do it is the safe way. So until next time, be safe in your own shop.